Welcome to Align Christ-Centered Yoga. My name is Linda and I'll be guiding our practice today. And my question for you today as we begin is this: how do your actions reflect your attitudes? I was reading through my Bible, through the book of Galatians, and I saw that sometime in the past I had written attitudes lead to actions. Paul is talking about keeping in step with the Spirit, and he warns us against giving in to all of these desires of the flesh. The desires of the flesh are against the Spirit, and the works of the flesh are evident. He lists sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissensions, divisions, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and things like these. Most of these are actions. With the exceptions of envy and enmity, everything else in there is the way that we interact with others. He goes on later to say, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. The fruits of the Spirit are attitudes, peace and joy and patience and kindness and perseverance, and these lead to actions as well. So lately, what has your attitude been? Have your actions reflected that? I invite you, as we go through this full body, slow flow, full body stretch today, I invite you to ask the Holy Spirit to infuse you with these gifts and start to reflect on how these attitudes might change the interactions that you have with others. How are your attitudes affecting your actions? I invite you to come to a comfortable seated position, rocking a little bit side to side, front to back. Find your sitting bones. One hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Begin to find your breath. Maybe closing your eyes and letting the day fade away, feeling the breath move through the body. As you inhale down the body, feel the lungs filling, the rib cage opening, the belly rising. And as you exhale, feel the strength and stability that comes with that. I invite you to think of the inhale and the exhale as an oval. As you inhale down the body, as you exhale up the body, this inhale leading to this exhale. Attitudes leading to action. What shift in attitude do you need right now? I invite you to take one more breath like this, taking up a little more space with that inhale. Anchoring down into the foundation of block and earth with that exhale. Let the hands come down and find 2 breaths here, and just notice, how do you feel the body moving when the hands are down on the legs? Can you still feel the breath as it descends and rises? Let the hands come down to the mat and beginning to connect breath and movement. Let the arms rise up, palms together, and exhale down. And as we connect breath and movement today, this word yoga means to yoke together. Just reflecting on what it means to yoke attitude to action. 2 more breaths like this, the gaze rising and falling as well, noticing what's going on in your neck, your upper back, your shoulders. I invite you to leave the right hand down next time your arms come down. Bring that left arm up and over. Go the other direction. And then bring both arms down to the side. Take a deep breath in, scoop the arms forward, hinge at the hips as you lean forward and rise up, and gently twist to the left. And inhale forward and twist to the right. Let's just repeat that sequence a couple more times. So hands down to the side, press into that right hand. Left arm comes up and over, stretching through the side of the body. Where does the gaze go? Using those abdominals to glide to the other side. Returning both hands down to the mat, this time leaning forward as you reach forward and up. And exhale into your twist. And again. And let's just repeat that sequence one more time. And I invite you as you move through it this time just to really notice the sensations in the body. What is the body telling you today? How might you need to modify this practice? What do you want to lean into today? Gently bring the arms forward and up. Finding that twist to the right. Coming forward, finding that twist to the left. And as you're ready, meet me back at center. I invite you to come to table. Fingers spread wide, find knees underneath hips, find a little bubble of air in the palm of the hands. Maybe grip the fingers as you begin to strengthen through the flexors in the forearm. Press through the tops of the feet. From here, find cat. And cow. And can you glide through this? How smoothly does the body move? Or maybe today it feels a little glitchy. That's okay too. Just noticing it. And 2 more times here, cat to cow, leading with the breath. Connecting movement with breath, attitude to action. As you're ready, meet me back at center. Go ahead and take that right leg back behind you and begin to stretch out the foot, rolling to the top of the foot, curling the toes under, heel coming back behind you. And as you find this, just noticing how does the ankle feel today, what's going on in that foot. Maybe you feel this in the calf muscles as well. One more time here. And then as you're ready, let that leg rise up and extend that left arm and reach wall to wall, and then exhale, elbow to knee. And 4 more times here. Your pace, your breath. And as you're ready, meet me back at center, and I invite you to draw the hips back towards the heels, reaching the hip crease towards that wall behind you, child to table. And 1 more time here, child to table. Gently take that left leg back, again curling the toes under, begin to just roll to the top of the foot, press that heel back. Again, just noticing what's going on in this foot. Does it respond any differently? Can you keep those hands strong as you stretch the foot? 1 more time here. And as you're ready, let that back leg rise up and the right arm come forward. And again, just elbow to knee and extend. And 4 more times here. As you're ready, bring the knee down, the hand down, and again, child to table twice. Exhaling into that child's pose. Rising into that table with the inhale. As you're ready, meet me back in table this time. Turn the right fingertips in and sweep the left arm up. And exhale as it comes underneath. Head and shoulder down, and deep breath here 2 more times. And as you're ready, settle head and shoulder all the way down and stack your shoulders and go ahead and bring that right arm all the way up. And begin to find your twist here. So the shoulders stacking, dropping heavy into the head and that bottom shoulder, and maybe that arm comes down to support, the hand comes down to support at the lower back at that sacrum bone. Maybe it wraps around. Again, just noticing, how does your body feel today? What feels best? Can you find that deep breath here and maybe a stretch across the upper back? One more breath here. As you're ready, unwind and bring the hand underneath the shoulder. Meet me back at table. Again, table to child, but this time can you curl the hands, the fingers underneath and the wrists high as you come into that child's pose. And again, child to table. And this time, turn the left fingertips in and sweep the right arm up and inhale as you rise and exhale as those oblique muscles wrap around the spine and draw you across, and do it again. And then this time, come underneath and stay there as that shoulder drops and the top shoulder stacks over that bottom shoulder, and maybe you leave it, the arm here, or maybe you raise it up and maybe explore bringing that arm forward first and then drawing that shoulder blade back, anchoring the shoulder blade, and then lifting the arm. Maybe the hand comes to the back, maybe you come into that bind. One more breath here. And deep breath in as the arms rise and the hand comes underneath, and meet me in table. And this time, curl the toes under and drop the hips towards the mat. Knees rise into that rib cage as the hips come back, head drops. Shake your head out no and yes, and begin to pedal through your feet. I invite you to find that stretch up and down the sides of the body, up and down the legs, maybe in the back. Deep breath in, heels rise, and exhaling, bring those heels down. Stay in downward dog for 3 breaths. Just notice what you notice. Where is the stretch? Where is the release? Begin to consider how the body feels when there is tension. Not physical tension, but when there's emotional tension or social tension. Right? So when you're in the midst of all of these sins of the flesh that Paul talks about, the divisions and the enmity and the envy and the strife, and how does the body feel? And can you begin to soften the body into that love and that joy and that peace? And how does that feel? Taking a deep breath in, right leg rises high. Gaze forward. I invite you to bring the foot in between the hands. Gently bring that back knee down and up a few times, beginning to stretch the psoas. And then as you're ready, just raise that back leg to the sky, sweep up into your high lunge. And exhale into your twist here, right hand to the small of the back as that left arm comes across. Lengthen through the spine and exhale into that twist, and maybe that back heel presses a little further back. One more breath here. Exhaling, release. Hands to either side of the foot, or maybe blocks to either side of the foot. Begin to straighten and bend the front leg, finding the hamstring stretch today. So what's going on in the back of the thigh? As you stretch the leg, where else do you feel sensation? Maybe you feel it in the back or the hip or the foot. As you're ready, find your stretch. Toes lined up towards the front of the mat. Let the back of the head reach towards the mat. Shake your head out, no and yes. And as you're ready, bring that front knee over. Take a nice deep breath in. Raise the leg up and come into three-legged dog as it comes back. And just settle into downward facing dog. Notice what you notice. What do you feel? How does the body respond to patience? Taking a deep breath in, let the left leg rise high. Draw the gaze forward, float the foot in between the hands, let that back knee come down and up. What's going on in the hip on this side? And as you're ready, that knee comes down. Actually raise it high, there we go. Come up into a high lunge. Press that heel back as that front knee comes right over the ankle. If you're struggling with balance, go ahead and find that focal point in front of you. Imagine the inner thighs drawing towards each other. Left hand to the small of the back, right arm comes across, find this twist. One more breath here. And then cartwheel the hands forward on either side of the foot, and again, blocks to either side. Maybe begin to straighten and bend that front leg. And as you're ready, extend the front leg and let the head drop down, shake it out, no and yes, and find your breath here. Next inhale, front knee comes over the ankle, the back leg comes up to meet the front. Meet me in your first forward fold. And I invite you to take your hands to one side and the heel and just gently bring that upper body to the other side. And just back and forth here a few times. And begin to lengthen through the spine. Maybe the legs straighten a bit as you begin to press the hamstrings up towards the hips. Nose towards knee, and find your forward fold. Settle here. What does it feel like to be gentle? And then next inhale, hands rise up halfway, and exhale down and push through the feet. Rise all the way up into mountain. And exhale, hands to heart. I invite you to stay here and find your breath here. What do you notice? Take a deep breath in, arms rise up, exhale, come down to forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up and exhale down one leg back and then the other, come all the way down to the mat and meet me here. Forearms come a little bit wide, hands out, and Press down through the palms as you rise up a little bit. Round the shoulders and let the chest come up a little bit. And then drop the chest and then bring it through and find Sphinx. So as we come in and out of Sphinx, this is how we're going to do it. So again, come down to the mat. Shoulders around, chest lifts just a little bit. And then bring that chest down and forward and through and up and press into Sphinx. And again. Round the shoulders forward, chest lifts, and bring that chest through and forward. And as you're ready, stay here for 3 breaths. And find the strength of Sphinx. How does it feel to persevere? As you're ready, exhale, bring hands back to the rib cage. Meet me in table, tilting hips, curling toes under. Meet me in downward facing dog. How does downward facing dog feel? What do you notice? And taking a deep breath in, let the right leg rise high. Gaze forward, foot comes all the way through. Deep breath in, rise up into your lunge. Exhale here, hands to heart. Hinge forward and find your twist. Stay here for a breath. And then bring the hands forward and up and float that back foot up and press into warrior 1 and straighten out that front leg as that opposite arm comes up. And then reach forward and bend that front knee as much as you need to as you come down, as you rise up. And with this, just letting go of whatever actions have not reflected Christ this week. Reaching for those gifts of the Spirit. And then as you're ready, let that bottom arm come up. Find your warrior as that front leg bends. We now have our lunge in our front leg, pressing through the outside edge of the back leg. Bring the arms out to the side, draw the shoulders forward, and then round them back, and maybe bring those hands together, interlacing the fingers. Begin to find your back bend here. And what does that feel like? And then deep breath in, the arms rise, and exhale, hands come to either side of the foot, and that back foot comes down, and the back foot comes front. Forward fold. Shake your head out, no and yes. And hands rise up halfway, and exhale down, and rise all the way up, palms together, and exhaling, bring hands to heart. Check in here for a breath. I invite you to take your hands down to your side and just to gently kind of swing side to side. Again, what does the body feel like when your life is going well? Can you kind of just shake things out and find that release and that freedom? Deep breath in, arms rise, and exhaling, meet me in forward fold. And hands to shins, rise up and exhale down to the mat. And come all the way down to the mat. And this time finding your low cobra. Let those hands come out to the side. Roll the shoulders forward, lift the chest just like you did in Sphinx. But this time, keeping those hands to the side, rise up into that low cobra. And exhaling, come down and hands to rib cage. Come through table, dropping the hips, curling the toes. Meet me in down dog. Taking a deep breath in, the left leg rises high. And drawing the gaze forward, the foot comes all the way through. Rise up into your lunge and hands to heart, hinge forward and find your twist. One breath here. And come back to center and the arms rise up. And this time float that back foot to warrior one, outside edge of the mat, angled forward. Hips are still facing forward. Straightening out that front leg, lifting that right arm. Reach all the way forward. Bend that left knee as much as you need to and rise up. 3 more times here. Letting go of those unhealthy attitudes. Inviting the gifts of the Spirit. And 1 more time here. Let that other arm rise up as that front knee lunges and find your warrior one. Bring the arms out to the side, roll the shoulders a little bit forward, and then curl those shoulder blades around and under and back, and bring those hands together if that works for you. Interlacing the fingers, begin to find the back bend, stretching through the abdominals, tucking those shoulder blades under. Find breath. Deep breath in, arms rise, and exhaling, hands come to either side of the foot as the back foot comes up to the front, meeting me in forward fold. And shake your head out no and yes, and hands to shins, rise up halfway, and exhale down and meet me in plank, and come down to the mat, and maybe this time you just glide into that upward facing dog as those hands come back and the rib cage comes forward and come to the tops of your feet. And then curling your toes under, meet me in downward facing dog. And how does downward facing dog feel? Deep breath in, right leg rises high, and gaze forward, float that right leg in. Rise up into your lunge, hands to heart, hinging forward, finding twist. And stay here for a breath. Maybe that back heel presses back a little bit more. And then release as the arms rise and pivot into your warrior two, and drop the back arm as the front arm comes up, and come all the way over. And can you stretch through the side of the body here? And 1 more time, peaceful warrior. 1 more time, side angle bend. And then staying in side angle bend, maybe this top hand comes to the back, maybe it binds. Maybe the bottom arm comes all the way around and reaches up, and you find your bind here. And stay here for another breath. And then as you're ready, release and come back into that peaceful warrior. And cartwheel the hands to either side of the foot, float the hips, bring the back foot forward, meeting me in forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway, and exhale and come all the way up and push up from underneath as those hands rise. And exhale, hands to heart. And I invite you to stay here for 2 breaths to check in. Taking a deep breath in, arms rise, and exhale, forward fold. And hands to shins, rise up halfway, and exhale down and come to the mat, and you choose your back bend. And find your way back to downward facing dog. Make your downward facing dog strong and stay here for a breath. And as you're ready, left leg rises high. Gaze forward, float the foot in between the hands, rise into your lunge. Hands to heart, hinge forward and find your twist. I invite you to stay here for 1 more breath. And exhale as you raise the arms up and pivot. Find your warrior two and glide from peaceful warrior to side angle bend. And one more time each here. Again, just finding length up and down the sides of the body. Stay in your side angle bend. Realign if you need to. Raise that top arm up and bring it to the back. So as you press into that sacrum bone again, just opening up across the chest. And maybe this is where you stay, or maybe that hand comes into that full bind. Maybe that bottom arm drops, palm facing behind you, reaches up to catch that, and lean a little bit forward from the hips here, and then tuck those hips under and stack your shoulders. Find your breath. One more breath here. And exhale and just reach that top arm over, bottom hand to the mat. And then come all the way back, peaceful warrior. Cartwheel hands, face the front. Bring the front foot to the back, meet me in plank. Stay in a strong plank for 2 breaths. What kind of strength does it take to hold on to those gifts of the Spirit, to let go of the desires of the flesh? As you're ready, let the knees come down, child to table twice. Come down into child one final time. Stay here. Maybe the hands stay where they are. Maybe today you externally rotate those shoulders and the palms are up, and you just invite God again to fill you with the gifts of the Spirit. Peace and joy and love, faithfulness and gentleness and kindness, perseverance, self-control. Find breath. As you feel the body soften and relax, feel what an embodied life of peace and joy and love are like. Feel what an embodied life of peace and joy and love is like. A softness and a freedom. As you're ready, press your palms into the mat and gently and slowly come up to a sitting position. And I invite you to bring your feet forward and just to gently drop the knees side to side. And come down onto your mat. Lying down on your back, go ahead and draw your knees into your chest and give yourself a hug. Maybe your arms are underneath the legs, maybe around. And just gently rock side to side here. So you're just massaging out the muscles on either side of the spine. And then hands out to the side, let the knees rise as the shins are parallel to the floor, and gently just come down about 2/3 of the way on one side, and then come up and over and go 2/3 of the way on the other. So back and forth here. Next time you twist to that first side, stay there. Let the knees come all the way down to the mat. Begin to settle into the shoulder blades and find your twist. Gaze looking away from the legs. And maybe the arm comes up and across that top leg and brings that top knee a little closer to that bottom knee. Find your stretch. As you're ready, draw the belly in and come up to center. And again, just give yourself a hug and rock a little bit side to side as you wrap your arms around those legs. And then bring the knees up and the shins parallel and draw the knees down to the other side and find your twist here. And how is the twist different on this side? How does it feel different? How does it look different? No need to change it, just noticing. Maybe that top arm comes to the leg and draws that knee towards the bottom knee. As you're ready, draw the belly in, come back to center and hands to knees, gently draw the knees into the rib cage and away, back and forth here. Go ahead and extend the legs long. Windshield wiper the feet and bounce the knees and wiggle the hips and just find that Shavasana pose. Maybe the hands come up to the ceiling, palms facing together, and thump those shoulders down and do that again. Just kind of reset the shoulder blades, arms softly coming down to the side. Gently turn your head from the top of one ear up and over to the top of the other, and one more time here. And as you're ready, meet me back at center, finding breath. Settling into Shavasana today, just inviting the gifts of the Spirit to flow through you. Inviting God to change attitudes, to remove old habits, old ways of thinking, old responses that are automatic, to replace them instead with His gifts. Love, joy, peace, faithfulness, gentleness, kindness, perseverance, self-control. I invite you to stay here a little longer if you can, but if you need to move on with your day, gently begin to bring movement back, wiggling fingers and toes, rotating wrists and ankles, turning your head side to side. And on that next inhale, let arms reach up and overhead and stretch. And as you're ready, draw your knees in and roll over onto your side. Find your breath here. And the next inhale, press into your hands and rise up and come to a seated position. Finding your breath again, noticing body, mind, and soul. What has changed? What has changed since you came to the mat today? Notice also maybe what has stayed the same, accepting it as it is. Taking a deep breath in, arms rise up and overhead, palms together, and exhaling, bring hands to heart, joining me in prayer. Father, it is so easy for us to drift back into old habits and old ways of thinking. Help us to be people of peace. Infuse us with your gifts. Change our thought patterns, change our attitudes, transform us into your likeness, that as we leave this mat, we may truly reflect the love that you have for all others. It is in the name of Jesus the Christ that we pray. Amen. Thank you for practicing with me today.